right? So now we're on to topic 2, in which we talk about some of the general definitions of types of companies, right? So in the first topic, we looked at the role of the commissioner, right? We looked at what the commissioner can do, right? And some specifics regarding to hearings, right? Regarding to examination of records. But now we want to take a look at some terms that apply to all of the states when we characterize insurance companies. So there's 3 major types of insurance companies. And those are our domestic insurance companies, our foreign insurance companies, and our alien insurance companies. All right, so let's take a look at what they mean. So what the domestic insurance companies, these are companies that reside and is incorporated under the laws of the state in which its office or home office is located. So I talked about this in topic 1, and we looked at how the example of how domestic insurers have to be examined every 5 years, right? So that's what I meant by domestic, right? Now, when we compare this to the other types of insurance companies, test takers often get confused with like the word foreign, right? They think foreign means abroad, right? And domestic means within the States. But that opposite is actually true, okay? Domestic is when a company, right, resides and is incorporated under the laws of a specific state, right, in which its home office is located. The foreign insurance company is where the home office is located in another state. Okay. And it's considered to be a foreign company in all states except for its home office and home state. Okay. So an example of this, right, is if, nationwide, I'm not exactly sure where the home office is located. Maybe I think in New York or New York Life. Let's just look at that. New York Life, right? And New York Life, the home office of that is obviously located, I think, in New York. But it also has offices in other states, right? And so in that case, right, if we have an office in like Georgia, right, it would be considered a foreign insurance company in Georgia, but it would be considered a domestic insurance company in New York, right, because the home office is located in New York. So that's what we want to know about domestic versus foreign insurance companies. And then alien insurance companies, right? Alien insurance companies, you have to think about that as a company that is chartered and organized in any country other than the US. So whenever we talk about alien insurance companies, we have to think about, right, if we have a home office located in Canada, right, and we have offices located throughout the United States, but it's still a alien insurance company because the home office, right, is located in Canada. Now, we can also categorize insurance companies through the ownership of the company, right? So the previous section here, we talked about, right, types of companies according to, right, the laws in which its home office is incorporated through. But with this here, stock versus mutual companies, we're looking at who owns the company, right? Who controls it. So a stock company is an insurance company that is owned and controlled by stockholders, right? And so the stockholders provide capital and share losses and profits. Now, with the mutual insurance companies, right, these are companies owned by policy owners. So policy owners have more of a proactive role, right? They can elect board of trustees, directors, right, to manage the firm. And so something that we've talked about in the previous modules and that we've emphasized is the role of dividends and how we talked about how dividends are only existent in mutual insurance companies, right? And they're not guaranteed, right? Dividends are not guaranteed. Okay. So dividends are not guaranteed, but they could be returned to the policy owners if there's like surplus, right? But they're not guaranteed. And we also know that when we advertise, right, we can't say that dividends are guaranteed, right? So that would be, we'll take a look at how that is a form of like misrepresentation later on as well. Okay, so another thing that we also want to look at when we look at insurance companies is that not only do the agents need to be certified, right? That's what we are all working for, right? But insurance companies also have to, in some way, be certified, right? They have to be qualified to sell insurance in a state, and they have to receive something called a certificate of authority, right? So that means that they're authorized by the insurance department, which we looked at in topic 1, to sell insurance in the state. And here's just some details about it. And every state has its own like filing process, but you do want to know, right, some of the dates related to, okay, well, how long does the commissioner have to approve the application, right? In state of Georgia, it's 90 days. When does it expire, right? And when should the insurer, right, renew, right, as well. So we just wanted to make sure that we understand this because it's important that, right, insurers are authorized, right? It's called an authorized insurer, authorized insurer. Because they're authorized to sell insurance in that state. Now, when we take a look at the types of transactions, right, what does it mean by selling insurance, right? We've been kind of using that term pretty broadly, but when we want to talk about, right, selling insurance, we want to use a more precise term, like insurance transaction, right? And a transaction can actually include any of these. It can include solicitation to purchase insurance, negotiations, right? You're negotiating with the client, right? You are asking them about their health history, maybe. Executing a contract, for sure, right? You're signing the application, right? We've talked about that in module 1. And advising on coverage and claims, right? So if you're just advising, right, on that, that's also part of it, considered a transaction. Okay. So the important part is that, right, we as agents cannot transact insurance until we have been appointed by an insurer, right? So with WFG, for example, right, you can set up appointments with Nationwide, right? You can set up appointments with Transamerica, right? So these are all insurers, right? That you can set up appointments with eventually as well, right? And there's some other ones too, right? So, right, we can't, although we have our license, right, we want to obtain that, but we also have to be appointed, right? Have to be appointed by an insurer that we represent.